There is a secret text that explains the true nature of existence. What text is this, and what knowledge does it have to share? Let's find out. There are many texts within India that many people do not know about, particularly when we look at the Puranas. And there's one text from the Puranas that is very important, particularly for followers of Shiva, the Shaiva tradition. And it's one of the most important texts of all India and the entire world when you start to read this text. And it's a secret text that not many people around the world know. A lot of people in India do know this text, and it is one of the most important texts if you want to understand the nature of Shiva as the representation of the ultimate reality of Brahman, the ultimate reality of existence. And so you're probably asking, what is this text? And this text is called the Ishvara Gita, or in English, Lord Shiva's Song. And this is a fantastic translation by Andrew Nicholson. Actually, Andrew Nicholson's introduction into this text is sublime. It's one of the best introductions to any spiritual text that I think I've ever read. And so I highly recommend this version of the Ishvara Gita. And it's a very, very important text in understanding the ultimate nature of Brahman. I would say that this text itself is a Nididhyasana text, but it's a very secret Nididhyasana text. It's one that not many people know about. A lot of people know about the Ashtavakra Gita, the Avadhuta Gita, the Mandukya Upanishad Karika, and so forth and so on. But not many people talk about the Ishvara Gita. Now, in the Ishvara Gita, there are so many great verses on the unmanifest Lord. Now, obviously, the unmanifest Lord here is Shiva as a representation of the ultimate reality of Brahman. And so I want to read to you actually 7 verses today from this great scripture, which will give you a deeper understanding and a thorough understanding, actually, of the ultimate reality of existence. Let me read these 7 verses to you. From the unmanifest came time, primeval matter, and the Supreme Spirit. The whole world was born from these 3, so the world consists of Brahman. It dwells in the world, enveloping everything, hands and feet everywhere, eyes, head, face, and ears everywhere. It appears to possess all qualities and all senses, yet is free of them all. Supporting all things, it is eternal bliss, the unmanifest, free from duality. Without any object of comparison, its range is beyond the means of knowledge. The abode of all things, supreme immortality, beyond mental construction or semblance. Undivided, yet appearing as divided. It is eternal, fixed, and unchanging. It is without qualities, the highest space. This is the knowledge the wise understand. It is the self of all beings. It is the external, the internal, the supreme. It is I, all-pervading and calm, the highest Lord whose essence is knowledge. I, whose form is unmanifest, pervade this entire world. All beings dwell in me. He who knows this knows the Vedas. What an amazing 7 verses. And this chapter is actually chapter 3 and is actually called the Unmanifest Lord. No surprises there. And so what the Ashtavakra Gita is delving into is the difference between Saguna Brahman, Brahman with qualities, and Nirguna Brahman, Brahman without qualities. And so you saw within the text where it said that it has no qualities and it is unchanging, eternal, fixed, and the highest space. So it is immanent within reality, but also transcends it. And that's within us as well. We are that. That's what they're saying in the Ishvara Gita. We are that. We are that Nirguna Brahman. That is our true nature, is the Nirguna Brahman, is Brahman without qualities, not Saguna Brahman. See, Saguna Brahman would be the jiva, would be this accumulative sense of self, which is entangled with the manifest world. So Saguna Brahman is referring to essentially the manifest world. In Taoism, Saguna Brahman, the manifest world, would be the 10,000 things, and Nirguna Brahman would be chi. And so our true nature is without qualities. It paradoxically said in one of these verses that it possesses all qualities, yet is not attached to them, and essentially is free from them. And so, as I said, it's immanent within existence, but also transcends it. And so the immanent is a Saguna Brahman level, right? But the transcending is the Nirguna Brahman. And that part of Brahman, the Nirguna Brahman realm, is where the great sages abide. And it's no surprise that these texts came from the mind of those particular sages who wrote the Ishvara Gita, the Puranas, so we're talking about Vyasa here. And so it came from these great sages who wrote these great texts. And so what these texts are always pushing us towards is that we need to also abide in the Nirguna Brahman realm as well, right? And so all through these 7 verses, it speaks about Brahman as being eternal, timeless, ever free. And when we understand that, when we abide as the Atman, the undifferentiated state of consciousness, then we will attain or experience Ananda bliss, because bliss is the ultimate essence of Brahman, you could say. So one who is a knower of Brahman, and in this says one who knows the Vedas, knows the 4 original Vedas that came from the rishis who put all of the great knowledge in India in motion, then when we know that, then we experience this bliss, the essence, the fragrance of Atman. We experience that this bliss which is dissociated. It's not associated with anything. It just arises from within because you abide as that. And that's what these 7 verses are saying. They're saying that once we understand the true nature of ourselves, then we will experience this bliss. We will be a knower of the Vedas. We will know what the Vedas were truly speaking about. And so Brahman is the abode of all things. It's the abode of everything. And as a spiritual aspirant on the path, it's to understand that you are that as well. You've always been that. But sometimes we need some sort of spiritual practice or some sort of contemplation, and sometimes it can be lengthier and lengthier for particular different types of people. But eventually we need to come to this understanding that we are that as well. There has never been any division anyway, no separation. As it says within the text, undivided, yet appearing as divided. And so it's almost like a magic trick. Can we feel it? Can we sense the unity within all life, or the oneness of reality? Can we sense that? And so these 7 verses within the Ishvara Gita are guiding us to understand that pure, unmanifest Brahman, what we call Nirguna Brahman, because ultimately within you and within me, we are that. And the persistent illusion is the jiva that eclipses the true undifferentiated consciousness that you are. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.